humanity's past is a paradox of glory and darkness. For every moment of courage, there is a shadow of unspeakable cruelty. Over 1,000 years ago, in the heart-wrenching lands of East Asia, an event unfolded that embodied both a desperate struggle that would shape a nation and scar its soul. This is the story of the Siege of Suyang, a chapter of the Tang dynasty's twilight. Be cautioned. Though we tread lightly on the gruesome details, the events are deeply disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. China stands as one of humanity's oldest civilizations, its history woven into texts that reach back millennia. Scholars debate its origins. Some trace its written records to 2100 BCE, others to 1600 BCE, but all agree that China's legacy is vast and intricate. Its story is one of dynasty's eras of unity and fracture, each marked by cultural brilliance and political upheaval. The Xia dynasty, shrouded in myth, may have been the first, but the Song grew around 1600 BCE, offers undeniable evidence of a sophisticated society. By the dawn of the Common Era, China's chronicles grew vivid, painting a portrait of a civilization both resilient and restless. In 581 CE, the Sui dynasty briefly unified the land, only to crumble swiftly. From its ashes rose the Tang dynasty, a golden age of poetry, art, and military might. The Temps commanded armies vast enough to guard the Silk Road, the ancient trade artery stretching from China's heart to the edges of Africa and Europe. Yet, as the Temps neared its 150th year, its greatest enemy emerged from within. In the mid-8th century, cracks began to form. By 755, a general named An Lushan, emboldened by growing support, declared himself emperor of the Yan dynasty in northern China. His rebellion aimed to topple the Temps, igniting a brutal campaign to seize key cities and unravel the empire's unity. This was the An Lushan Rebellion, a war that would test the limits of loyalty and survival. Amid this chaos, a Tang soldier named Zheng Jun emerged as a beacon of defiance. A rising star in the military, Jun was dispatched to a small county for administrative duties, where he honed his strategic mind through relentless study. When An Lushan's rebellion erupted, the Yan forces swept south, capturing vital strongholds. Many Tempt generals, sensing defeat, defected to the rebels, including Zun's own commander, who demanded his men follow suit. Zun, however, refused to betray the Temp's emperor. Ordered to assemble a delegation to greet a rebel general, Zun instead led his men to a temple honoring Lao Tzu, the revered founder of Taoism. There, he delivered a speech so stirring that it moved his men to tears, binding them to the Tang cause. Inspired, Zun rallied 1,000 loyal volunteers and marched to Yongchu, fortifying its defenses. When 15,000 Yan soldiers descended, Zun's vastly outnumbered force repelled them, slaying 2/3 and forcing a retreat. A month later, facing 40,000 rebels, Zun's ingenuity prevailed again. His men set fire to scaling ladders, incinerating attackers and shattering their morale. The rebels adapted, encircling Yongchu to starve Zun's army. Undeterred, Zun devised a cunning plan. Night after night, his soldiers beat war drums, keeping the rebels on edge. When the enemy grew complacent, Zun launched a surprise ambush. In a stroke of brilliance, he ordered archers to fire weeds instead of arrows, tricking the rebels into believing his forces were depleted. As laughter spread among the Yan ranks, Zun's scouts pinpointed their general. Yin Ziki, a sudden volley of real arrows struck, one piercing Ziki's eye. The rebels fled in disarray, leaving 20,000 dead. This victory should have turned the tide, but the Temps were faltering elsewhere. By 757, the Yan army, now 130,000 strong, targeted Suyang, a city whose fall would open southern China to conquest. The Suyang governor, aware of Zun's triumphs, summoned him to defend the city. Zun arrived with 6,800 troops, facing a rebel force 19 times larger. The Yan encircled Suyang, severing supply lines. A prior order to share food with other forts left the city's reserves dangerously low. As months dragged on, starvation gripped the defenders. By summer, soldiers subsisted on meager rice rations, scavenging insects and weeds. Exhausted and emaciated, they still repelled every rebel assault, toppling ladders and thwarting siege tactics. In a desperate bid for aid, Zun sent his finest soldier Nan Jian with 30 elite troops to break through enemy lines. Miraculously, they succeeded, but their pleas for reinforcements were rebuffed by jealous or fearful governors. One, envious of Zun, offered Nan a feast while Suyang starved. Nan, in a harrowing act of loyalty, severed his own finger to prove his resolve before departing empty-handed. A small force of 3,000 troops eventually joined Nan, but only 1,000 survived the perilous return through rebel lines. The added numbers bolstered Suyang's defenses but strained its non-existent food supply. Desperation turned to horror. With no animals or plants left, the army resorted to consuming the fallen soldiers and civilians alike. When even those were gone, Zun made a chilling sacrifice. Before his starving men, he slew his own mistress, offering her sustenance. Though many wept and refused, hunger forced compliance. This act opened a grim abyss. Soldiers began rounding up women, then elders, then children, all to feed the army's fading strength. By October, only 400 Temp soldiers remained. The Yan finally breached the city, capturing Zunnan and the governor. The rebel general, awed by their tenacity, offered them a chance to join him. Zun, his teeth shattered from relentless combat, spat defiance, vowing to devour the traitors. Unswayed, the general executed Zunnan and 33 others for 10 months. Zun's small force held Suyang against overwhelming odds, a stand rivaling history's greatest. Their sacrifice delayed the Yan advance, buying time for Tang reinforcements to reclaim the city. Just days later, the An Lushan rebellion raged until 763, but the Temp prevailed. Yet victory came at a staggering cost. Up to 36 million perished, 2/3 of China's population. The Temps, fatally weakened, collapsed in 907, fragmenting the nation. An estimated 20,000 to 30,000 souls were consumed to sustain the defense. Was this heroism or tragedy? The line blurs in the face of such horror. Zun Stand preserved the Temps for a time, but at a price that haunts history. Thank you for journeying through this grim chapter. If you have a story to share, submit it via the link below. Until next time.